So what we have here is a broke axle on Super Jeep, and well, you know, it's just kind of wallers around inside the housing right now. To be clear, we're back at the shop now, but I just wanted to show everybody how wobbly this tire was, and this is why my brakes didn't work, because I drove out a turkey claw. And we'll go on with the prayer from here. It turns out from another project, I just happened to have a bushing. Now this just fits inside my axle tube, but as you can see, it's only got a 1-inch hole in it. So what I've been doing, I've got my little compressor down here on the ground, and I got my die grinder jammed into the front of the truck. Oh, I'm sorry, it's shaky, but dude, I got one arm. So I've been working around with the die grinder, so eventually a bushing is going to slide on that axle. Well, actually this piece over here, and I'll jam that in the housing, put it all back in, and I can continue on King of the Hammers 3-wheel drive. Go. All right, so this is the piece, and it just works out as I get closer with it. As I shove it in, it leaves a little, can you see that? That little ridge mark right there? Right here, there's nothing here, there's a bunch there. So now I know where to grind a little bit more. After about another 20 minutes, I'll have a bushing that works. All right, so we've got the bushing ground. Lift it off of there just a second. Put it back on. We got our bushing on here, and we're now using our trailer dial indicator. And considering a little bit of wobble of the axle and the trailer, I bet we've got it around within about 10 thousandths, and that's good enough. All right, we got our bushing, fits on the taper, or what's left of my poor axle. Now the bushing can't crawl outboard because of the taper. Now when I put it in the housing, what I'm worried about, it'll go in and then go in too far. But the splined end, the splines are bigger than the reduced section. So if I put it in backwards, this will fit inside the sight gear. It ain't doing anything, but it'll keep the bushing from going in too far. And maybe in about 20 minutes I can at least drive around a little bit. I tell you, the good Lord must be looking after us. How often you get a bushing that fits that nice and snug with no machining at all by random chance. We still had a little play, and I'm just about that much was all. Well, I got Super Jeep all together again, albeit only 3-wheel drive. And it looks like it's going to go on its own adventure, and not sure where. Time for part 2, failure analysis. Not too bad. I've actually seen far worse come into the shop, and you know, it got me down the road. So amazingly, I actually put this in looking like this, and it doesn't look much worse. I got 10 miles out of it. I mean, what the hell? We had fun. So now for a little bit of failure analysis. Looks like it started at a rust pit. Was it clearly a perfect classic fatigue brake? Worked down till it was about 3/8 of an inch and twisted off. That's why I never heard it go bang just before I lost my brakes. Now if you look at the leverage factor, figure I have a 12-inch wide wheel, then a 2-inch wide spacer, then the bearing. Right there is about 1/3 of the way in on that teeter-totter, and after 7 years it just couldn't take it anymore. I thought it would have lasted longer than that, but the way I drive, who knows. Here are my first 2 axles. You see they have a very slight taper. They are necked down just a hair, but not to the root diameter. And you can see there is a little bit of a twist in the splines here. Of course this one eventually snapped off, but not until it cracked down into the roots a long ways. So now the next one is one I just broke, and you see I tapered it Well, comp cut it all the way, and it broke right in the right at the where the radius changed. So this one, I've got about a third of that comp cut, and you know, if I get more than 7 or 8 years out of an axle, I'm happy. I got 10 out of the first 2. Ultimately, though, we got to build a full float rear end.